Hi everyone, it's Kate from The Fold Line. I am back this week with a new video for you all. This week we are doing a question and answer session. This was a video I probably never thought I was going to do, but lots of people asked me wanted me to do one. So I thought I'd just test drive it and see what you guys think. So let me know. I popped a thing up on Instagram and asked people to ask questions, so I've got a selection of questions here. I picked ones that, there were lots of duplicates, so I picked the kind of most popular ones, and then I picked ones I thought you guys might find interesting. So I'm going to get started, and the first one was, why did we start The Fold Line, and what was the inspiration for it? So Rachel and I were inspired to start The Fold Line because we were working at Sew Over It, and this must have been 5 or 6 years ago now. And part of our job at Sew Over It was to see what other independent designers were releasing, and obviously back then there were a lot less releases. Checking out what the other indie designers were, checking out what people were making, and it used to take us forever going onto every single person's site, trying to work out what had been released, and we just thought, gosh, if there was a place where this was all in one place, it would be really easy. And the other thing was looking for sewing patterns. There wasn't really anywhere that you could go and look at them all. There really wasn't. Like, at this point, there was the big four, and the independent designers weren't really being sold, like they weren't really doing wholesale at that point. So, and there were lots of PDFs, and we were like, it's really hard actually to find what is out there. So we naively launched into it thinking it wouldn't be that big a job. And so the Sew Reporter was born first as the kind of almost like a news feed of what was happening in the world of sewing, new releases, what people had been making. But the database was something we really, really wanted, because I personally like looking through almost like a shop, like going on ASOS or Topshop and looking at all the patterns, and that didn't exist. So that's why we sort of started it, and we didn't think it would be that much work. More fool us. We did have a very dark, I think it was nearly 4 months, where we just added patterns every single day manually to the website, which was fairly horrific, but definitely worth it in the end. Right, next question. Life as a small business owner, the good and the bad. Oh, this is a good question. I've just written these down. I haven't actually thought about the answers to them, so I'm sorry if I should have planned what I was going to say. Like, good and bad. So the great thing about it is that you can pick your hours a bit more. It's a bit more flexible. I think the other good thing about it is that, if anything, I'm sure if you work for other people and you make a mistake, you mess something up, that stress of making a mistake and ruining something is like no other. Whereas when you own your own business, if anything ever goes wrong or there's a disaster, you can sort it out yourself, and it's a different kind of stress, but it's never as stressful as letting down someone else at work. So I always like that I can sort anything out. The bad, I guess I think if you run your own business and you're an online business, I think it's really hard to switch off. And because of social media and the nature of our business, which is like interacting and talking with everyone, which I love, it also is a slight double-edged sword, because you can't ever step away from it, I think. So that's probably, I mean, it isn't really that negative, because to be honest, I don't really actually like stepping away. But yeah, the switching off point is quite hard. And actually I have mixed up my working. I have a day off on a Monday now, because I find that day is a bit quieter, people are at work, and I feel like, yeah, having one day off social media is probably a good thing, for my eyes and my head. So yeah, I hope that answers that. Do we work for the Fold Line full time, or do we have another job? So Rachel is full time for the Fold Line, and I have a part-time job 2 days a week. I work for a fabric shop and I do all of their online stuff. So I take all the photos of the fabric, add them online, do their newsletter, social media and all that stuff. So yeah, so it's quite nice because it's quite similar to what I do, but it's in another sort of realm, and it's nice looking at fabric. It's never hard. And we also do some consultancy work within the Fold line for a couple of sewing companies. So yeah, our day-to-day life is quite varied. Someone said, oh yeah, where do we see the Fold line going in 5 years' time? I don't know. If people are still reading the Sew Reporter and coming onto the website, sorry, I've got a cup of tea. I think that would be my thing, that people are still interested in sewing in 5 years' time. I don't feel like it is a fad, this sort of craft, but I hope that it's growing and growing and more people are doing it. And I'd love it if we also had all of the indie designers on our site. That would be amazing, because we've got quite a lot. I mean, we've got a good chunk, but we definitely don't have all of them on there. So yeah, and maybe have more people working for us. That would be quite fun in 5 years' time. So yeah. Someone's asked, what is the best-selling pattern on the site and what is the most searched for? It's really hard to track what people search for, so I can't really answer that. But the best-selling patterns, which I don't think you'll be surprised about, are top 2 selling patterns. The first one, and I'll pop an image so you can have a look, and I'll also, any patterns or anything I mention, I'll pop links down to below so you can go and have a look. The Zadie jumpsuit, which I don't think anyone will be surprised by, which is the sort of cult jumpsuit of this year. The other one is the Ogden cami, which continues to charge on. I mean, I think we sell at least one of each of those patterns every single day, which is crazy. The other one that was quite a surprise, it'd been out a while, but it sells really well, and it's a really lovely pattern. I just hadn't well, you never know, do you? Is the Hinterland dress from, I think it's So Liberated. So that sells really, really well. I can see why, it's a really classic shape, but I just never, you never know, do you? When and why did I start dressmaking? So I came at the dressmaking thing in a slightly sort of abstract way. So my sewing journey started, I went and did fashion design at university, where I trained in pattern cutting and making and designing, and then I went and worked in the fashion industry for a few years. I worked for a menswear company and I worked for a knitwear company, and when I then started working at Sew Over It, I had no idea about the home sewing industry. I had no idea about independent pattern companies. I'd heard of the big ones like McCall's, but I just didn't realise it was a thing. So I was quite kind of shocked when I got there and found out there were all these people making their own clothes. So making my own clothes, I've probably been doing that now for 6-7 years probably. But I've been making clothes since I was about 20. So yeah, that's quite a long time now. Fave pattern at the moment. My favourite pattern, this is a hard one. I really like the look of the Wilder dress from Friday Pattern Company. I think Rachel's actually made it and it looks really great on her. It sort of inspired me to do it. The other one, which I guess is quite a similar feel, is the Deer and Doe myotosis. Can never know how to say that. And I actually saw Emily from Self Assembly required on Saturday night, and she told me about 5 times how to say it, and I still cannot remember how to say it. So yeah, those two are probably on my list of favourite patterns at the moment that I definitely want to make. Someone asked, when we do our how do we do search for ready to wear, how do we match the ready to wear clothes to patterns? It's really sad, but I'm just a massive pattern nerd. So when I go into shops, and I've always done it, I almost look at items of clothing as a line drawing. So I'll look at things and look at the cut lines and the seam lines and quite often in my head, because I'm now kind of almost just trained myself, I'll look at something and be like, oh, okay, that's the whatever, that's the Helmy top, or that's the whatever pair of trousers. So it's just from being a massive pattern nerd. And patterns, like adding patterns to the site and new sewing patterns, that's our thing. So we're always looking and kind of checking out what's going on. Favourite thing I've sewn? I think it must be the Named Clothing Lempy dress. I'll pop a picture of me in it, which I made last summer to wear to a new craft house party. I think that was my favourite thing because, one, I didn't have to make any fitting adjustments. It was quite, not complicated, but there were lots of details on it, so it was quite a slow make, and I made it kind of over a couple of weeks, and I just did a little bit each day, and I really enjoyed the kind of picking it up and putting it down, because I usually just sew in a frenzy. So yeah, I think, and the finish on it is really good. Like, I was really pleased with the outcome. So, and I think that's probably the only one, and I think that's because I took my time, which I should learn from, really. Fabric first or pattern? So I definitely know that you are either one way or the other. You buy loads of fabric and then you find a pattern to go with it. I am the opposite way around. I find a pattern and then I go and pick my fabric. I don't have a big fabric stash at all. I hardly have anything, and that is because I just find that my tastes change, and I really like picking. I would find having all the, because I know a lot of people have massive stashes, and I would find having a massive stash quite stressful. So yeah, and I like the process of picking the pattern, then starting to fantasize about what fabric I can get for it. So yeah, I work that way. How many hours a week do I sew, and am I a procrastinator? Okay, if I'm being totally honest with you, I don't sew very much anymore. So maybe this would have been the negative. The downside of turning your hobby into your job is that it changes how you feel about doing it. And I love sewing still, but it doesn't have that same escapism that it used to have because it's now part of my job. So we have a consultancy job where we do some stuff for a sewing magazine, and we make samples, a couple of samples every month. So I make, and that's part of my bit of the fold line, so I make 2 samples every month. So I make 2 garments every month. They're just not for me. So yeah, I don't sew very much, and it's one of those things. If I had a bit more time, and maybe when I leave my part-time job at some point, I'll do a bit more. But until then, I don't get to do it that much. Am I a procrastinator? No, I'm not at all. I charge. Like, when I know exactly what I'm making, and I just go. I almost make decisions like too quickly and sometimes regret it because I've just charged on. Rachel always laughs at me about how fast I am. I just make and I get frenzied about it as well. I want to have it all done and finished in the first day. So this last few bits are sort of slightly more personal things, which I'm very happy to answer, but the one thing that I have to say made me chuckle quite a bit is that we got as soon as I put a thing about asking questions, the first thing was, are we married? Which I laughed at, but we actually had about 6 or 7 people asking if we were together or not. And I realised that I've actually never said whether we are or not, so how on earth are you supposed to know? Rachel and I are not a couple, no. Rachel's married. She's been with her partner Simon since she was 21, I think. And so Simon works in the city. He is the kindest, patientest man you'll ever meet. Mainly because he puts up with Rachel. No, I'm joking. But he lets Rachel has a bit of a fetish for rodents that are on their last legs in life, and she adopts them and looks after them until they die. And Simon lets her do that, which I think is very, very kind. And yeah, so I've been with my boyfriend for 7 years. He's called James. He is a chef and a furniture maker. Yeah, so yeah, we're not, Rachel is my work wife, but she's not my life wife. Yes, lots of questions about my glasses. So these, yeah, like weird questions. I never thought anyone would be interested. So my glasses, both sets of these are from a company called Cubits. I'll pop a link down to them below. They're really good. I'd really recommend them. I wear contact lenses as well as glasses. I'm blind as a bat, and they are, I think, if they haven't changed in price, they're £125 each. All of their glasses are £125, and that includes the lenses, which is quite reasonable. Anyone who wears glasses will know. Yeah, the other thing they do that's really nice is they'll have a frame like this, for example, but they have this in 8 different colours. So they'll have like a tortoiseshell or a grey. So a lot of the glasses shops, I'm sure anyone who wears glasses will find, like, you go and you like the frame and then it's in a colour that doesn't suit your face. So I would really recommend them. I really, really like them, and their service is really good as well. Hair routine. Loads of people asking about my hair, which is hilarious that anyone is interested, but I will tell you. So curly whirly, completely different ball game to straight hair. So the first thing you will need as a curly head, if you want to like get more curls, is one of these. This is a diffuser head. If you haven't got one and you're going to buy one, go onto Amazon or wherever. I know I shouldn't be promoting Amazon, but this one is like the ones that they use in the hairdressers, and you put it over the end of your hairdryer. They last a lot longer than the ones than if you buy a proper diffuser hairdryer, so that would be a top tip, having gone through like a gazillion of them. Yeah, so one of these, there's a couple of things that really help making your hair kind of curly, and if you've got some wave in it, bringing it kind of into more of a curl. When you are washing your hair, when you're washing out your conditioner or your shampoo or whichever is the last thing that you're putting in your hair, turn your head upside down, so literally like this, and have the shower head like on the back of your head. That means the reason for that is it stops the front of your hair getting really flat, because you've got all the water sort of pushing down on your hair. The other thing that I would definitely recommend, and it was a real game changer for me, is this stuff. So this is Moroccan Oil Curl Defining Cream. So you put this in after you've had your shower. It depends how long your hair is or how much I think I put like 3 squirts of this in my hair, and you just scrunch it into the wetness, and then literally you turn your head upside down again and put it in the diffuser literally like that, and yeah, you'll have curly hair. So yeah, that's how I do it. Yeah, I can't believe anyone is interested in that. And am I an introvert or an extrovert? I'm probably I'm more of an introvert, I think. I come from a very loud family, and my mum used to work in the theatre, and all of her friends are in that world, so they're either actresses or they work within the kind of production side of it. So they are all massive extrovert, loud drama queens, and I think because of them I'm more of an introvert. Yeah, I am quite shy. Like if I go into a social situation, I will feel quite nervous, especially if I don't know people. So yeah, I'm probably more introvert. And the last question is where we live. So yes, we both live in London. Rachel lives in southwest London. She is in, she's near Richmond. She's sort of, Mortlake is her kind of closest stop. And I am in Brixton. So I've moved actually recently from one side of Brixton, which was like the centre, which was really loud and basically where you want to live in your early to mid 20s. And now I'm in my mid 30s. I've moved to a quieter side of Brixton, which is near a park, and yeah, it's really nice. So yeah, we are, and someone's asking like how we kind of get to each other. So we probably live about an hour apart, and we can get to each other on the overground, which is really easy. And yeah, we don't actually, Rachel and I don't actually see each other loads. We managed to set up the business so that we do quite separate jobs. So Rachel does all of the like really important admin stuff that I screw up. So she does all of our finances, our profit and loss accounts, like manages all the invoices, all the stuff that basically makes the business successful or not. And I do more of the creative side. So obviously I do the kind of content. So I do the blog posts and yeah, that sort of stuff. So I'm more creative. But we have just got a couple of people in recently, like in the last 6 months, to help us with some stuff, because it was just getting a bit much for us all to do, just me and Rachel. So yeah, we now have someone who helps us with the website, we've got someone who helps us with the newsletter, and someone who helps us with some of the like social media and content. So yeah, it's not just me anymore, which is exciting. And yeah, it's amazing. I feel really lucky that we've been able to do that. And yeah, so I hope that was interesting and gives you a little bit more of an insight to both of us. And yeah, if you like these, I can do them. I mean, I think you probably now know everything you need to know, but if you ever want me to do one again, just ask. I can totally do one. And yeah, have a lovely weekend. Bye.